Now on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14, why an area assisted living facility is moving its residents to a different facility. Also, a new mental health program designed to prevent veteran suicides.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. Medical Lodge in Girard, Kansas is moving 19 residents to the Frontenac location. Medical Lodge says it's dealing with a worker shortage. It's a problem for a lot of businesses and an issue we're covering in reports titled Making It Work. Reporter Bronte Sorotsky has more on the Medical Lodge situation.
In a statement that Medical Lodge sent to KOAM, we were informed that an ongoing worker shortage was the reason for the move, and that this will ensure residents will continue to receive the necessary care and services. They responded that the move went smoothly and that all Medical Lodge Girard residents who were moved arrived at the Frontenac location on Wednesday afternoon. We also heard from some on Facebook who were personally affected by the situation, who said that their grandfather was one of the 19 moved and that they felt the move was handled incorrectly. Medical Lodges added that the close proximity has also allowed remaining employees from Medical Lodges in Girard to transfer to the Frontenac location along with the residents.
Bronte, thank you. Medical Lodge says the move for both employees and residents will be temporary. Meteorologist Nick Kelly joining us now with the first look at the forecast. Great night for football tonight, Nick.
And just about everything else, Jordan, especially if you had to be out and about this evening. A low of 56, a chilly start this morning, but before we got this evening underway, we enjoyed a nice high of 81 degrees for this afternoon. Believe it or not, we actually have a cold front working through, but even though it's producing some returns on the radar, it's not rain reaching the ground because we've got a lot of dry air near the surface. So anything you're seeing on the radar now, it is drying up before it has a chance of making it down to the ground. As far as temperatures go, we're in the upper 60s to near 70 right now. We'll continue to see the skies clear out. We'll go mostly clear by sunrise. A chilly start again with lows near 56. We're looking great again for tomorrow, Jordan. Mostly sunny skies and highs near 80. I do have warmer temperatures on the way, though. We'll break down the numbers here in a bit.
Kelly, thank you. Nick Kelly, thank you. Health professionals, veterans, and their family members in Neosho County, Kansas today receive training to help prevent veteran suicides. It's called QPR. That stands for question, persuade, refer. Like CPR, it's an emergency response, but in this case, it's to veterans in crisis.
People don't know. People die. Everybody's busy. They got lives. They got families to take care of and work to take care of and all the school activities. And people die and nobody knows. And we're losing 22 veterans every day. And that may have been the maximum in 2012. Maybe it'll be down to 20 now, but that's still too many.
Today's training was offered in person, also over Zoom. Grooming company Wall is hosting the Most Talented Beard in America contest. All that's required is that contestants have a beard, also a talent. Neosho native Daniel Schilling falls into that category. He has a beard. Also, he's a banjo picker. So he entered the contest. He's now a finalist in the top 10.
Ever since I was a little kid, I was always kind of infatuated with trying to grow a beard, and I always hoped I could. And so I always loved the whole mountain man style theme thing, and I always wanted to be the ZZ Top kind of full length beard. And so now I'm just going for it.
Man, told you he was good. Daniel wins. He's going to get a $20,000 prize, but he needs your help. He needs you to vote for him. We have a link to the voting site in this story on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Awesome job. Daniel isn't just using his banjo skills at that contest. He's also performing at the Carl Junction Bluegrass Festival. The festival kicked off today over at Stark Auditorium in CJ. This is the 24th year of the festival. Features craft vendors, a petting zoo, a car and bike show, plenty of live music.
So the 24th annual Carl Junction Bluegrass Festival is tomorrow at Center Creek Park. It's completely free, and we are there from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. And we've got 10 bands tomorrow. We've got a kids area. We've got all sorts of fun stuff all day at the park.
Just a reminder, the festival continues tomorrow from 9 in the morning to 7 p.m. I love bluegrass music. Good picking right there. All right, President Biden is hailing the CDC's authorization of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine booster shots as a big step forward in the push to contain the outbreak. Fox News correspondent Jackie Heinrich has more now from the White House.
Federal health officials are working to clarify new guidelines on COVID vaccine boosters a day after voting to authorize them. A third shot of Pfizer's vaccine is now recommended for anyone over 65 and those with serious illnesses. The CDC also says at-risk workers like teachers, retail employees, and healthcare workers should get a booster shot. But that recommendation was first voted down by the agency's independent advisory panel, then later added by CDC Director Rochelle Walensky.
Withholding access for boosters from these people and communities would only worsen the inequities that I have committed to fight against.
President Biden says about 60 million more Americans are now eligible for boosters, but he's also focusing on the 71 million who haven't gotten their first shots, and he's now poised to pull the trigger on more vaccine mandates while also working on incentives for private companies to do the same.
I'm moving forward with vaccination requirements wherever I can. I'm pleased to see more businesses and organizations instituting their own vaccination requirements.
Meanwhile, the debate over those mandates and others is intensifying, with the federal education department paying the salaries of Florida school board members who defied a ban on mask mandates, and state officials claiming there's no need for masks in schools.
There's tremendous data that supports the fact that, that natural immunity protects people from getting very ill.
Right now, there are 8 states banning masks in schools and 10 states requiring them. At the White House, Jackie Heinrich, Fox News.
The Biden administration weighing in on border security as criticism mounts over the growing influx of migrants coming across the southern border. By today, federal officials announced they had cleared a Texas camp that had contained thousands of Haitians. But the Biden administration's troubles are far from over illegal immigration. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively is in Washington now with more.
Of course I take responsibility. I'm president.
On Friday, President Biden took responsibility for the chaos on the border as images emerged this week of 15,000 Haitian migrants flooding a makeshift camp in Texas.
President Biden is actually empowering illegal aliens to come into this country.
But the president was quick to condemn the actions of some agents seen corralling the migrants with horses. The agents' reins mistaken for whips, drawing condemnation from some Democrats.
It's outrageous. I promise you those people will pay.
We know that those images painfully conjured up the worst elements of our nation's ongoing battle against systemic racism.
In an interview on ABC's The View, cut short when 2 hosts learned on air that they had tested positive for COVID, Vice President Kamala Harris was asked about the situation.
I was outraged by it. It was horrible and deeply troubling. There's been now an investigation that is being conducted, which I fully support.
The photographer who captured the images told an NBC station in Texas he never saw an agent whip anyone at the migrant camp, and former patrol agents have defended their use of reins on the horses.
Twirling the reins was just another tool they used to get the horses to do what they ask them.
More than 12,000 of the migrants will have their cases heard by an immigration judge to determine whether they'll be allowed to stay in the U.S. or be expelled. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
KOM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another 4-state hero. Edward McGinty served in the U.S. Army starting in 1943. Native of Neosho, Missouri, McGinty was stationed in the Philippine Islands. We are proud to thank and salute Staff Sergeant Edward McGinty. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Nick Kelly's next. We'll be completely with the forecast a bit later. Going to hear from a Pitt State wide receiver whose family is making the trip from Detroit for tomorrow's Family Day game.
We kept things pretty quiet as we got this first weekend of the fall season underway, and the skies have been pretty good to us as well throughout the course of the day. Granted, it's been partly to mostly sunny throughout the day, but what we saw through the time lapse over indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri, that does not qualify as threatening cloud cover whatsoever. With that said, as we got into the afternoon and certainly early evening hours, we have noticed some radar returns showing up in our very far northern counties. The thing is, though, we do have a cold front working through, and even though there is plenty of moisture resulting in rain, especially up in northern parts of Missouri, anything that's trying to pop up here has to overcome a lot of dry air at the surface. So it may look like rain north of Nevada, but it's just being gobbled up with the dry air mass in place. So, as we kept things quiet throughout the day, we trended a little bit warmer compared to the highs around 77 yesterday, 58 this morning, and then topping out around 80, 81 degrees early this afternoon. Outside of Joplin at 9:12, looking quiet. We'll call it mostly clear for sure. 68 degrees, a dew point of 53, and the humidity's climbing up a little bit, but still not too bad at 59%. Most of us are seeing the numbers now pretty much in the 60s, maybe as cool as 61 in Monette, and maybe 71 in Chanute and 72 in Independence, but these numbers are trending downward as we continue to see this cold front work on through it. And you can see it in action as the northerly wind kicks in, but it's a light northerly breeze as we continue into the overnight hours, so that's going to send us back into the upper 50s once again, I think actually mid 50s as we go into your Saturday morning. So even though the radar returns are suggesting rain, we are dry here. The better chances for rain continues along the north of I-70 in Missouri. Our cold front, though, still working through, and once it passes, high pressure out in Colorado will keep us quiet and nice for tomorrow. And plus, it's nice that we're on the cooler, relatively speaking, side of the jet before this starts to build back our way. And that upper low near the Baja Peninsula might bring some rain chances our way down the road. In the meantime, though, any good rain chances stay to the north and east, and eventually will turn mostly clear as we go through the overnight. And that will lead to another chilly start. Most of us dropping back to 56 first thing in the morning. That light northeast breeze turns more easterly at times during the afternoon, but as long as it stays light, the temperatures will bounce back up. 73 by noon, and most of us topping out around 80 for tomorrow afternoon. Sunday, the jet has to work back to the north, so this means upper 80s for highs on your Sunday and Monday. Thankfully, we're still dry underneath mainly mostly sunny skies. Partly sunny by Tuesday with highs in the lower 90s before the upper low near the Baja Peninsula. It passes nearby and wants to give us our next best shot for any rain or storms starting Wednesday before tapering off to a few isolated storms late next week. In the meantime, though, Jordan, we got plenty of time to watch those rain chances on the way, but the rest of the weekend's looking pretty good. 80 tomorrow, 58 Sunday morning, and 88 on Sunday. So definitely warm end of the weekend, but not too bad.
And you're right about the nights. They are quiet now. Hardly any bugs are singing during the night anymore.
Babe, I'll take it.
They were loud this
they were.
year. This is cicadas. All right, Nick Kelly, seen a little bit. Thank you so much. Coming up, more worry about Afghanistan.
There are major concerns the Taliban could start to impose a tribal version of Sharia law that would greatly restrict the rights of their enemies and women in Afghanistan. I'm Trey Yingst in Kabul. I'll have the details coming up.
Our fall weather.
A new report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics breaks down how the workforce could change in the coming decade. Jobs in office and administrative support, sales and retail, and production are expected to see the biggest declines. Retail alone is forecast to lose an estimated 500,000 jobs. Well, the Taliban want the world to take them seriously, but that effort could be hampered if the group returns to the harsh Islamic justice system it used back in the 1990s. Fox News correspondent Trey Yingst has more now from Afghanistan.
The Taliban is calling on the international community to fund Afghanistan, but the group is accused of human rights abuses, and that could keep them isolated.
In what is clearly a Taliban-sanctioned demonstration, there are hundreds of Afghans in the streets of Kabul right now calling on the international community to unfreeze the assets of Afghanistan. You can see these signs are speaking directly to the United States and the United Nations. The biggest problem right now for the Taliban is convincing the world they have changed. We know that they are still implementing a version of Sharia law that is considered extreme, and it's something that doesn't sit well with the West.
If there's someone who goes without Sharia law, we will punish them and we will sentence them.
There could be executions, there could be different extreme punishments like cutting someone's hand off for stealing things. Will we see this again during this Taliban?
No one will take anything from anyone. They will be safe from everyone. Nobody will have a problem with anyone. If there is anyone who goes without Sharia, then we will punish them.
We have seen with our own eyes Taliban fighters trying to intimidate those who worked for the United States in the past. Do you think this is acceptable behavior?
When the Taliban came, we forgave everyone. There are people who have fear in their heart and their mind. They are just lying because they want to go out from here.
Words are one thing, actions are another. The evidence simply shows the Taliban is not forgiving those who worked with the United States. Rather, they're targeting them. In Kabul, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
All right, next, how some veterans are finding new history related to the Revolutionary War while also addressing their own mental trauma.
See you all. This
warehouse.
Scientists now believe metastatic prostate cancer comes in two forms, and they respond differently to treatment. One form of tumor, called luminal, responds better to testosterone-blocking treatments, while the other form, called basal, did not. Researchers believe the discovery is going to help doctors determine more specialized care for their patients. Children born to mothers who were depressed during and after pregnancy are more likely to develop depression themselves. New research from the University of Bristol found that by age 24, these young people had worse scores on depression questionnaires when compared to their peers. Experts say this highlights the importance of mental health support both during and after pregnancy. Well, what do archaeology and the military have in common? Experts say a lot. Fox News' Rob Dawson has more on how the similarities between the two are helping veterans and historians make new discoveries, some pretty cool discoveries, while providing therapeutic activities to former service members suffering from war-related trauma.
Armed with shovels and metal detectors, a group of veterans are working to uncover secrets from the past while helping to better their futures as they sift through the soil at the site of a Revolutionary War battle.
We've seen that veterans are actually very good at archaeology when they're properly trained.
The dig is located at Saratoga National Historical Park in upstate New York. It's here. Back in 1777, American soldiers faced off against British and German troops in the Second Battle of Saratoga. This fight was key to convincing the French to assist U.S. troops in defeating the British during the Revolutionary War.
That's that right there.
But this excavation goes beyond helping historians learn more about the battle. It's giving veterans an opportunity to work through their war-related trauma.
We want to take the skills that they have from the military and teach them how to do this really well, because we've seen that mental health aspect come in because of the sense of pride in doing this mission properly and doing it in a technically proficient manner.
Veterans say the teamwork and friendship they experience while working on this collective goal is helping them reconnect with life after war.
Anybody who suffers PTSD and TBI or who was wounded or suffer any form of disability from the military is always going to continue to transition, because you always have that in the back of your mind. So that's why these groups exist, is to help you continue to keep transitioning.
So far, the project has helped experts get a better understanding of exactly where different troops were located on the battlefield. Rob Dawson, Fox News.
Awesome thing right there. All right, coming up, new research says walking your dog isn't just good for mental health, specifically physically health as well, but it can also help prevent dog dementia.
Cox Health.
Ben Kerr, an 8-year-old boy from France, loving Legos now more than ever, now that he has a prosthetic arm made from the toy bricks. Look at that. His mother reached out to YouTube sensation David Aguilar, better known as Hand Solo. Aguilar is a bioengineering student who created his own prosthetic using Legos. How cool is that? Now, he figured if he could make his own, he could also make one for Ben Kerr and children just like him. This act of kindness changed this young boy's life and gave him a new sense of confidence. Awesome. All right, a new study says regularly taking the doggo for a walk can help fend off canine dementia. Researchers at the University of Washington recently reported dogs that live inactive lives are 6.5 times more likely to develop memory loss. The study says canine cognitive dysfunction, known as CCD, is a major concern of veterinarians. Scientists say Alzheimer's disease and CCD have many similarities. Their research says studying CCD not only helps dogs, it could lead to breakthroughs that could even bring about better treatment for people with neurodegenerative disorders such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. I found that story fascinating because I had never heard of Alzheimer's in dogs. But, you know, it's interesting how so many connections there could be in health, right? All right, 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
The commute between Missouri and Arkansas is about to get a whole lot smoother with the completion of the I-49 connector. Details are coming up.
Plus, rock fans flocking at Joplin for a rock show. The mineral kinds, not the music.
Looking for a new...
The I-49 connector is almost ready to go. It's going to make traveling between Missouri and Arkansas a lot smoother for four-state commuters. KOM's Mike Mahoney spoke to a MoDOT engineer, also a Pineville resident, to learn how the new stretch of highway will change things.
This brand new stretch of I-49 may be empty for now, but that won't be the case on October 1st. That's when the new I-49 connector will be open to commuters, and it means folks traveling between Missouri and Arkansas won't have to take a Route 71 detour that goes through Pineville and Bella Vista and features plenty of stoplights.
You know, there's a lot of commuter traffic that goes through there that lives in the area, but the traffic that wants to go, say, from Fayetteville or go to, Joplin or further, they could take this new I-49 around that.
The completion of I-49 has been decades in the making and took more than $70 million to make happen. MoDOT says the new roadway will meet interstate standards, and unlike Route 71, there will only be access at interchanges. And while that's sure to be music to the ears of anybody who hates traffic jams, it also means a lot more peace and quiet for folks like Pineville resident Dylan Allen, who lives right off of Old 71.
We're really excited for the less semi-traffic. A lot of semi-traffic will be diverted to this new road.
In McDonald County, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
Missouri Governor Mike Parson and Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson are going to participate in a ribbon cutting ceremony to celebrate the connector's completion on September 30th. Commuters can drive it the following day. Semi-truck enthusiasts in the area gathered in Joplin for the Guilty by Association Truck Show. This is the 11th year for the biannual event. Officials say when it first started, they had 38 trucks. Listen to this, now they have more than 800 brought in from 40 different states and even some from Canada and Mexico.
Trends change, different styles, colors, paint jobs may change, but one thing that's the same is like these truckers have kind of like a brotherhood, a camaraderie. They come here to see people that they haven't seen since the Guilty by Association truck show that happened previously. So it's a really good culture, good vibe on the lot.
Tomorrow morning, around 600 of the trucks will run in a convoy collecting money that will be donated to the Special Olympics. Joplin was rocking today. These rocks, not rock music. Rock music is pretty cool though, but these rocks. The Gem and Mineral Society and Joplin Parks and Rec hosted the annual Gem and Mineral Expo at the Joplin History and Mineral Museum. Vendors from across the area showed up to talk rocks.
There are a lot of people who've never been to this museum, and it's right here in town. And it does, this museum does a wonderful job of explaining and telling all of the history that I've just been explaining. They have the equipment, and they have the minerals, and they have the information.
The Gem Show is now in its 22nd year. Well, the National Retail Federation is projecting Halloween spending this year will surpass $10 billion. The projection is an increase from $8.05 billion spent in 2020, as more consumers are ready to celebrate this year despite the ongoing pandemic. The annual trade group survey finds about 65% of Americans are planning to celebrate Halloween this year, which is an increase from that 58% that participated last year. Well, the coronavirus pandemic appears to be discouraging women from expanding their families. A new study from New York University's Grossman School of Medicine says mothers are postponing having more children because of concerns about COVID-19. Almost 1,200 mothers in New York City were surveyed, with almost half of mothers who had been trying to become pregnant again before the pandemic report stopping within the first few months of the outbreak. 1 in 3 women who had been just considering another baby before the pandemic pushed those plans aside. Well, less than a week remains for Congress to pass a federal spending budget to avoid a government shutdown, even as lawmakers debate trillions in infrastructure investments. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively joins us again, and she reports from D.C.
High stakes and high price tags in Washington. First up, Democrats are furiously writing and rewriting the president's reconciliation bill that would transform the country's social and environmental programs to the tune of $3.5 trillion.
We compromised big time. We cut that proposal, or agreed to cut that proposal, almost in half, down to $3.5 trillion.
They're also struggling to keep support for a $1 trillion infrastructure deal on the nation's roads, bridges, and broadband. It was written by members in both parties, but some of that bipartisan support appears to be slipping away since it's coupled with a larger reconciliation package.
Both need to be passed. and they'll have a profound impact.
Don't view it as a bipartisan bill any longer, where the Democrats have now made it one over $5 trillion bill, one without the other. It only harmed the nation even more. I'm voting no.
Meanwhile, as members debate future spending, they're about to run out of money right now. Congress has yet to pass a funding bill to keep the federal government operating after next Thursday.
Obviously, we want to avoid a shutdown, and we're doing everything to avoid a shutdown.
Congress also hasn't worked out a deal to raise the debt ceiling. Without it, the nation could default on its debts next month for the first time in history. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A little later, the results of a presidential election audit in Arizona.
An audit of 2020 election results for Arizona's largest county confirms President Biden's win. I'm Deborah Alfarone on Capitol Hill, where lawmakers have extended an invitation to testify to the CEO of the firm who headed up the review.
Hi, welcome to
Thankfully, we kept pretty calm as we got this first fall weekend underway, even though it was partly to mostly sunny at times from indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. That didn't stop us from warming back up. Yesterday, we were pushing into the upper 70s for highs, but even with this cloud cover in play, we topped out around 81 degrees, especially in Joplin this afternoon. Despite all the cloud cover, we haven't had anything to track, although the radar certainly suggested at times late this afternoon and even early this evening that this could be rain chances trying to work on through. The problem is, and it's a good problem if you don't want rain, there's moisture upstairs, but even though there are still some echoes on the radar network, this has to overcome a lot of drier air near the surface. And since we don't have high enough humidity to support the moisture coming down, the vast majority, if not everybody, is staying on the dry side as we go deeper into our Friday night. It certainly applies for Joplin at 940, looking northwest from the corner of 7th and Range Line. We're 68, clear skies up top. And again, the humidity not too terribly high, sitting at 59%. Most of us are in the 60s for the most part, but you've got a couple spots like Chanute at 71, 72 in Independence, even a 61 already down in Monette. Certainly lower 60s more prevalent as you work closer to Table Rock Lake. We're seeing this drop in temperatures, not just because of mostly clear skies and a light breeze, but we actually have another cold front working through. Behind it, a northerly breeze is kicking in. At least it's a light breeze at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Still, this is what's going to send us back into the mid-50s to start your Saturday morning out. At the very least, any meaningful moisture with this front working through is resulting in rain along the I-70 corridor, northern parts of Missouri. Here's the front at the surface pushing on through, and behind it, high pressure will build in to keep us nice and quiet for Saturday. At the jet stream level, we're on the cooler, relatively cooler side of the jet, but this is going to start working back in our direction, and I've got this upper low near the Baja Peninsula that wants to come into play as we hit the middle of the week. In the short term, though, what starts out as a mostly clear to partly cloudy evening will turn mostly clear by the time we head towards Saturday morning, but you saw how temperatures will react to that. A chilly start again, with lows dropping back to 56 in Joplin. Even though the breeze stays light out of the east and northeast during the afternoon, that light breeze means 73 by noon and afternoon highs in Joplin topping out around 80 degrees. In general, outside of the city, we'll go upper 70s to lower 80s, so definitely a warm afternoon, but not a bad looking afternoon. Down the road, the jet stream looks back to the north on Sunday, so this is resulting in upper 80s for Sunday and Monday, but we keep things dry. Same goes for Tuesday, but this upper low that's sitting near the Baja Peninsula wants to bring in our next best shot for any rain or thunderstorms by Wednesday of next week before it tapers down to maybe a few random storms Thursday and Friday. We got plenty of time to track those rain chances on the way, Jordan. In the meantime, looking good for the next few days, especially 80 tomorrow, 58 Sunday morning, and a high of 88. Not too bad for the first weekend of fall.
No, not too hot. 91, but not too hot.
Yeah, even though as warm as 88, still low humidity. Yeah. It's going to feel good.
All right, Nick Kelly, thanks so much. If you're wondering when to book your holiday flights, experts say there's no time like the present. According to the flight tracking experts at Hopper, now is the time to lock in the cheapest fares. The lowest prices for holiday flights are very likely available right now. For Thanksgiving, travelers should expect a domestic airfare to cost around $300 for round-trip tickets, which is up 23% from 2020, but down 11% for 2019. And prices are higher, by the way, for Christmas travel than Thanksgiving this year. Travelers should expect to pay an average of $430 for a domestic round trip. All right, coming up in sports, the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, previewing the team's Week 3 matchup against the divisional rival Chargers. Also, the family of a Pitt State wide receiver coming to Pittsburgh from Detroit for tomorrow's Family Day game.
Nominate your...
The Pittsburgh State Gorillas hit the field against Emporia State tomorrow. Now, it's Family Day for the Gorillas. It'll be a special day for wide receiver Jaylen Martin, with his family coming from Michigan to watch him play for the first time this season. Family is important to Pitt State wide receiver Jaylen Martin.
I've been through a lot in my life, so my family been there with me every step of the way, whether I was right, wrong, or indifferent. I know they always got my back.
His family will make the trip from Michigan to be there for him again on Saturday.
They're coming all the way down from Detroit to come to this one. I can't wait. It's definitely another boost, energy booster. It's special when they come see me play.
Through 3 games, Martin leads the MIAA in receiving with 252 yards.
He loves to play the game, and he wants to be a well-rounded player. He wants to be able to run the whole route tree. He wants to be able to block for us. You know, we ask him to go in the box and block a lot too. So we've utilized him a lot of different ways, and certainly helps you when you have a guy that can win some one-on-one matchups like he does.
It's always going to be a team effort. Like, a lot of those things that I do, I can't do by myself. Obviously, I need my O-line to block, quarterback to put the ball there, and, you know, all of us to be on the same page. So I credit them more than anything.
Martin is a graduate transfer from Iowa State in his first and final full season with the Gorillas. It's the family atmosphere at PSU that brought him to Southeast Kansas to finish his college career.
I wanted to be somewhere where it was family-oriented, and I felt like after coming on my visit, talking to coach and talking to some of the players, that's kind of what drew me here, and the success and the tradition that's been here has been awesome. It's amazing, and it's good to be educated on those things and to come add to it as well. So I feel like this is the best fit for me.
Pitt State's game against Emporia State Saturday kicks off at 7 p.m. In the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs are 1-1 to start the season. Last week, they fell on the road 36-35 to the Baltimore Ravens. This week, they're back at Arrowhead hosting the LA Chargers. Now, like we do here every Friday night, it's now time to hear from the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, in this week's Minute with Mitch.
This week, the Chargers come to town and the comparisons will intensify. The comparisons of Patrick Mahomes to second-year Charger quarterback Justin Herbert. Just like Buffalo did last year with Josh Allen, Baltimore's done it with Lamar Jackson. So there's 4 categories of teams in the NFL when it comes to their quarterbacks. The first is we got the guy. The Chiefs and Seahawks are examples of this and maybe the only 2. The second category is we think we've got the guy. That's a category of hope. The Chargers, Bills, Ravens, and about 12 others are in this group. The third category is how long can this last? That includes the Packers, Bucks, and Steelers. The final category is we're still trying to figure this out. That includes the Broncos and the remaining 11 teams. It is so good to be in category 1 on this Minute with Mitch. The Minute with Mitch is brought to you by Como Jewelry. Every day's game day, Como Jewelry, Pittsburgh, Joplin.
Sunday's Chiefs-Chargers game kicks off at noon on our sister station KOAM. That's it for sports. Be sure to join us back here on Fox 14 at 11 for Press Box. That's a 30-minute show, all football. We're going to have high school highlights and scores from all across the area. We're back with more news after this.
A draft report showing President Biden won Arizona in the 2020 presidential election by more votes than originally reported, despite a month-long Republican-led recount effort in the state's largest county. Arizona State Senate is now going through the full report. Reporter Deborah Alfarone has more.
Roughly 10 months after the 2020 presidential election, a Republican-led recount in Maricopa County, Arizona, has confirmed President Biden's win. Millions of dollars were spent on the hand recount of more than 2 million ballots. In the end, the recount added a few hundred more votes to President Biden's victory over former President Donald Trump.
It was the most corrupt, dishonest, and unfair election in the history of our country.
Since the 2020 election, the former president has made claims of widespread voter fraud despite no evidence. He released a statement in reaction to the report alleging there is fraud and cheating in Arizona and it must be criminally investigated. Florida-based firm Cyber Ninjas conducted the review. Federal lawmakers have sent a letter asking the CEO to testify next month. In the report, which found no fraud, auditors criticized the Maricopa County's record-keeping and proposed reforms. Arizona's state Senate president has said the goal of the review was to improve the state's election laws, while a bipartisan group of county election officials have called the process a sham.
This entire sham was built on a lie. They knew it was a lie, and they forced everyone to suffer months and months of this tomfoolery.
President Biden is the first Democrat to win Arizona in more than 2 decades.
Texas election officials said last night they are auditing the 2020 results in 4 large counties, hours after former President Trump pressed GOP Governor Greg Abbott for a ballot review. Republicans in 2 other states won by President Biden, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, are also pursuing inquiries, though they say they are not trying to overturn the 2020 election results. All right, good to check out what's in store for a new season of Tiger King. Hollywood Nation coming your way. The saga of the Tiger King continuing with a new season, and first look at season 2 of Emily in Paris. Fox's Steve Rappaport has the latest from the Hollywood Nation.
This can't be a coincidence. A 90s slasher gets an update, Emily stays in Paris, and the Tiger King returns to the Hollywood Nation.
You're gonna have to kill me to shut me up.
The story of Joe Exotic continues with the 2nd season of Tiger King. Netflix officially announced that a follow-up to the 2020 breakout docuseries will be released before the end of this year, featuring more madness and mayhem.
You don't come to Paris. Should be good.
Speaking of Netflix, the streamer also revealed that season 2 of its hit rom-com series Emily in Paris will be arriving this year, but an exact date has yet to be announced. The announcement also came with a set of first-look photos that give a glimpse at what's to come for Lily Collins' character Emily Cooper and friends.
Even if someone knows what happened, they can't prove it.
And Amazon Studios released the first trailer to I Know What You Did Last Summer. The TV series is an adaptation of the hit 1997 film of the same name, featuring a crop of new stars. It follows a group of teenagers being stalked by a mysterious serial killer 1 year after covering up a fatal hit-and-run accident on their graduation night. The first 4 episodes premiere on Amazon Prime Video October 15th.
All you do is lie.
Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with more video of the Guilty by Association truck show in Joplin. Have a great, safe weekend. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.